We're into round 3 of the FIDE World Cup knockout tournament. And this is the first game. And I want to focus on the match between Pentala Harikrishna and Daniel Dardha. This produced a really interesting game. An interesting matchup. We got a clash of generations. Harikrishna, an absolute class act from India, of course. He's 39 years old. Now, at his best, rated well over 2700, even reached number 10 in the world. But he's had a little bit of a dip over the last few years. He's got married and had a kid. Maybe that has something to do with it. Daniel Dardha, 20 years old, an incredible talent from Belgium. You can see he's really ambitious, obviously. In the summer, he broke the world record for the number of players played in a clock simultaneous display. He played 50 players and made a huge score. I reported this on the channel, actually. So this was a really interesting game. Both players looked to be on great form. Harikrishna in the second round won with a beautiful queen sacrifice. So, he's sharp. And Daniel Dardha defeated Grigory Oparin, who was recently playing, of course, in the US Championship. So this is a really exciting game. I hope you enjoy it. Harikrishna playing white, e4 and a Sicilian. So we've got already a good fight on our hands because it's an open Sicilian. And which variation is going to be played? It's the classical. So here white can play bishop e2, bishop c4, bishop g5, bishop e3. I mean, there's lots of moves here. But bishop g5, so it's the classical line. And I've always liked playing this with white. Feels kind of solid, but at the same time you can be very aggressive as well. But it's an interesting fight because we often have a situation where white gives up the two bishops. Now, here's an interesting moment. In the 1960s, 1970s, castle's queenside was the move that everyone played here. In the last 20 years, we've seen this move, knight takes c6. And this was previously unheard of. It was always thought that this was somehow a positional mistake, because you bring this pawn closer to the centre, which might allow black to break with d5. But it's been shown that white can get very dangerous attacking chances. And I don't like this pawn on a6. When you get pawns like this bishop is blocked in a bit. And also this square is weak, and that can be significant in a lot of variations, actually. So also, with the assistance of computers, it's been shown that this is a completely viable variation for white. But it's just funny that, before 20 years ago, no one played like this. In fact, I've shown a game on the channel in exactly this variation previously. If you might recall, a game between Pragyananda and Tessier played in the Budapest Olympiad 2024. Now, I'll put the link down in the comments and in the video description. So you can see white is developing rapidly and, hoping perhaps that black is going to break very, very quickly like this, in which case I have a feeling this could already be incredibly strong. Followed by rook to the middle. It looks really, really dangerous for black. So, black has to take care. So that game between Prag and Tessier went castles, queen h6 and rook d3, and already Prag had a monstrous attack on the king side. And he won a beautiful game, actually. Dardha played bishop b7. Well, so far up to this point, both players playing pretty quickly. So bishop b7 makes a lot of sense because you might want to push forward with d5 and you don't want to allow sacrifice. So rook e1. It's nice that all white's pieces are in the middle, it just feels very nice. Now Dardha started to think a little bit more. I mean, this is not... this is a known position. But basically the two moves that played here previously, the most common, either Queen c7 or Queen a5. I mean, it seems logical to bring the Queen away from the d-file. But also, you want to perhaps have castle's queenside available. Kings sometimes need to get out quickly. I mean, so far I've been sort of talking down black's position a little bit. But there are positives here. I mean, this is a fantastic pawn centre. If we exchange queens, then I would prefer black. And the bishops, although not looking very good at the moment, certainly have potential to break out after a c5 or a d5. King b1. Okay, always good idea just to step away from this diagonal. And also, it means that sometimes you might be able to play knight d5. So, for example, in a situation like, how can I construct this? Here we go. Castle's kingside. Then I think knight d5 is a very strong move. Because after queen takes queen, you've got knight takes bishop check. And there you go. Well, the knight is trapped, but you can see that white has one material is going to win a pawn, at least. So that's one of the ideas of king b1. So it's no longer check. Now, crunch moment in the game. I mean, this has this position has been seen before. We've seen several games. Dardha thought for 20 minutes here. And he came up with a plan of basically breaking in the centre very, very quickly, which is very double-edged, because if these bishops get out, and if black manages to construct a big centre with d5, then black could have a serious advantage here. So he plays very ambitiously. One could castle here. That's possible. But queen c5 played. Yeah, when I say castle, I mean castle's queenside. Not that the king is completely safe on c8, because, you know, there's a big hole on b6, which I don't like. But, okay, that's a very different story. Queen c5 played. So the bishop goes back, and now d5. So this is incredibly ambitious. You know, if black can get away with this, black could be a lot better in this position. Knight a4. And the queen drops back to a7. And Harikrishna plays c4, so attacking the centre. And this puts an enormous strain on black's position. I mean, obviously, you know, moves like this break up the centre, could well allow a huge check here. If pawn takes pawn on e4, in fact, I mean, checking is possible, but this is a really nice move. Just blocking that pawn and just sealing the bishop in, basically. White has a tremendous position there. So Dardha played rook d8, so holding the position. Harikrishna exchanged on d5. Now, crucial position in the game. I mean, it's interesting. We're only at mood 17, and I would say this is already a critical moment because black could be breaking out here. So, I'm going to have a drink. You have a think. How do you play here as white? White play. What did Harikrishna do next? Cheers. If white takes on d5, then bishop takes d5, and that does black a massive favour. So the queen is attacked, centre is still intact, so the king is safe, and basically black can choose when and if to castle kingside. But it was pretty clear that Dardha had overlooked Harikrishna's next move. Knight c3. Sometimes backwards knight moves are difficult to see. So not only is there more pressure on the d5 pawn, but also this square is available for the bishop. So if, let's say, d4, then bishop a4 check is immediately decisive, because after this, the king is just trapped here. And that gives white a winning attack. But there's no good defense here. Dardha took on e4, and again this check came. King went to f8, queen h6 as we saw before. Rook takes rook check. And then rook e3. Very simple. You can see the king is completely trapped. The rook is shot in, and rook g3, mate threatened. So bishop c7 is the only move. And then simple task here, knight takes, threatening to take on f6. Bishop takes, rook takes, threatening rook g4 mate, therefore f5. And now a very nice winning move, which of course both players had foreseen, but there was no avoiding it. After rook takes e6, Dardha resigned. It's a very nice finish. After pawn takes, in fact, it's a mistake to take with the queen, but bishop b3 is an absolute killer. And black's king is just caught in a beautiful crossfire. Of course, you can give up the queen, but this is absolutely hopeless. You know, white's queen is completely dominant here, and white is 3 pawns up. It's a very, very simple win. 25 moves, what an absolute crush. So Harikrishna looking really sharp. The question is, can Dardha equalise in game 2? He'll have white tomorrow. Let's see, this one isn't over, but looking good for Harikrishna so far.